Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 180. That felt good to say. 180. That's a really good number. I like it. You know, my OCD is very happy with such a nice, even number. We have taken a little bit of a break from Wowhead Weeklies, but we are back. There's been a lot of traveling. November was, in general, a very hectic month, you know, the beginning
Yes.
to the end, the whole way through. But we are back, and the timing is great as well because the patch 8.1 Tides of Vengeance is next week. So that means we can have our perfect pre-patch talk and all that stuff right in time to not to miss the expectations and the reactions and all that stuff. So here we are. I'm Annie Fuchsia. I am a full-time streamer on Twitch and also your host tonight for Wowhead Weekly. My co-host is, as usual, the beautiful Perculia.
Aw. Hey everyone, I'm Perk. I run Wowhead. I always really like doing Wowhead Weekly so we can share what's been up on the site in the past week or so, including fun data mining stuff or guides you might want to know about, and answer your questions. So, as usual, really happy to be here. And we skipped a few weeks, and there actually wasn't a ton of stuff, no PTR builds, and now we are happy to be back, mostly recapping what's coming in the December 11th update for Tides of Vengeance, and maybe what's going to be coming in January, like the raid and PvP season.
Speaking of January, and somebody mentioning it in chat as well, because I see a resub from 10020,
Whoa.
11 months in a row, who is somebody in my community. It's almost been a year since I joined Wowhead Weekly.
Oh wow, yeah, that's another reason we should do something fun in
Yeah.
January, like your anniversary of
Yeah,
the
because I
show.
started
That'd be cool.
exactly in January.
Yeah.
That is.
So,
I remember
yeah.
that being a very content heavy time as well.
Yeah.
Because when I jumped
You
into
had
it,
so much to jump in and be like, oh, I need the images, right? And use
yeah.
so many images and assets to put together for each
Yep,
show.
yep. I'm gonna make you a little bit bigger and move you up a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, it's just my eyes playing with me like, this needs to be moved up a little bit. One more millimeter. All right, we're good now. We're good now. We need to have an anniversary stream, an anniversary Wowhead. Yeah, maybe, yeah, we need to do something like that. Need to keep
Yeah.
it in mind for the first week of January, see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
But yeah, December is month of Christmas or holidays, maybe we should say, and I'm super excited. It's the first month in a while where I'm not traveling either, and
Right.
I'm super happy about that because that means I can stay at home, catch up with everything, get all the Christmas things planned out. I mean, you guys can see a Christmas, no, not a Christmas. You guys can see a cat tree here. But there's also supposed to be a Christmas tree. Hopefully, we'll get that up very soon as well. And yeah, I don't know. I love the Christmas periods. How do you feel about that, Perk?
I really like Christmas as well. It's very cozy. I like all the lights. I like how it brings everyone together. I like it better on the East Coast than the West Coast because I like all the snow. I just like the image of the snow on the nice pine trees
Oh.
and all the glistening ornaments. So I like that whole vibe and like the fireplace and being all cozy.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Christmas as well as a season. It's very
Fireplace. Yeah, that's
special.
another one.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Also,
But yeah, I
not
thought the
something
same.
I
All the
have
lights
here.
are
Yeah.
amazing. What was that? Sorry?
Oh, I'm saying fireplace is not something I really have here as well. Although I
Yeah.
did go to a really cool light show at a garden, the city garden, and it had all sorts of lights flashing different colors and very professional looking. Like they took over this gigantic park with all these interesting light sculptures and interactive music
Okay.
displays. So
Uh-huh.
that was for the holidays. But also in December is Tides of Vengeance.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that was a perfect what's it
Yeah.
called? Like a transition. That was a
Transition.
perfect
Yes.
transition, Perk. Yeah, Tides of Vengeance. So it's out December 11th for US, December 12th for EU, and December 13th in Asia, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that means that we have some new content to look forward to, and we will go through all the different things that you can expect, and also the things that you will not see straight away, but see soon enough in
Right.
January, most of them.
Yeah. So the big thing that you can do right when Tides of Vengeance start is go back to Darkshore, which has the new Warfront where the Alliance is immediately attacking. There's the new quest line tied to the Warfront where we get to see what Tyrande and Nathanos are up to. And then there's lots of content surrounding the Warfront. So the zone looks completely different. It's not just the trees on fire, it's showing what things are like a few months later, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the Alliance would find it, I think, pretty interesting how you can do the quest and get the special Night Warrior appearance, which is a very cool customization option for your night elves. Like they're very pale with dark, vengeful
Dark
eyes.
eyes. Mm-hmm. You can't
Yeah,
even see the white part of it anymore, right? I think it's all
no,
black.
yeah. So the Alliance will be attacking. You
Very
can do the
spoopy.
quest line, then the Alliance can attack, and then the Horde starts in control. So you have the world boss as well as a lot of rare spawns, and there's a new round of mounts and pets and toys you can get, including many lightsaber mounts, which I want to farm because they're all like big bright paws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a funny way to put it. They're all
Yeah.
big bright paws. Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Something else which
So
will be new for the Warfront. Sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Something else which will be something else which will be new for Warfronts, if I'm able to speak, are the new service medals, which
Hmm.
means that we have a new currency and a new reason to actually do the Warfronts, because you can use this currency to get mounts, heirlooms, pets, and I think some other things too, which is really cool because we
Yeah.
don't have any reason to go there currently unless you want to farm, what is it, 340 gear?
Right. And it's also good because these world quests will give you 7th Legion and honor bound reputation. So if you need help hitting Exalted to unlock the allied races or do the early parts of the war campaign, this is a way to get reputation faster.
There was that new item, the 10% experience buff. Is that also
Oh
from
yeah,
the Warfront?
that's also from the service medals, which and the service medals are
Perfect.
from the Warfront winning and the world
Mm-hmm.
quest and in some of the faction assaults. But yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
main way to get it is by doing the world quests. There's also a ring that teleports you back to your
To
capital
Borealis,
city.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so if you don't want to wait on a boat, now you can just have your teleportation ring.
that's awesome. Yeah, I need that. So yeah, if you want the new Kirin Tor ring for
Hmm.
the current capital city, I would recommend trying to get some service medals to get one of those.
Yep. Oh,
I think the
kitty.
10% experience buff is really good too for alts, and I think the period between level 110 and 120 experience wise is not getting nerfed, or there was a slight nerf like 0.01 or something, which is
Right.
negligible, but with this one, with this item, you effectively have 10% of that time saved. So I would definitely go and get some when planning to level some alts.
Yeah, and there's that really amazing, beautiful Priestess Moonsaber mount that's like the Night Saber, but with the Warglaive armor on it that you can only get through the service medals. So that's really exciting for the Alliance to grind. I'm going to be also prioritizing that. That's like an armored Brightpaw.
It is very, very pretty. What did the hordes get? Was it the bat?
Yeah, they have some bats, so it's like no, I don't think it's as exciting, but it is what it is. So I think it's the saber versus the bat, and then both
Mm-hmm.
sides get like a retinted Krullusk in blue and red, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's the blue and red kind of tattered capes, and I think each side gets a little like Johnny style raptor
Mm-hmm.
and the heirlooms and the potion. And there's
Okay.
also a toy that you can get as well, like a blight spreader and a glaive thrower type thing, which makes sense with a
Yeah.
Night Elf versus Forsaken.
In defense of the horde, what you can say is that there's a lot more sabers in the game than there are bats. So technically, you're getting a mount that's more unique. So and maybe you might even be tired of saber mounts. So I'm just trying to get
Right,
like
Pod,
a
don't brighten my
sort of
screen.
not to like anti-horde point of view, so you can be happy too.
Yeah, if my screen got brighter, it's Bright Pub put his paw on the
It
key.
looks
So
great. So
awesome.
if it got
So
brighter, it means it became perfectly bright.
awesome. So, in addition to all the rare spawns that drop cool loot, it's also worth noting that they're not just random rare spawns. A lot of them are related to past quests in Darkshore. So, if you've been following the Master's Glaive area since the start of WoW, you'll be like, oh, there looks like there's some old god thing under Darkshore. And then in Cataclysm, it's like, oh, the Twilight Hammer is trying to resurrect this minion of the old god. And then finally, we have Sagoth in a weakened form now in Darkshore. So it's like, oh, this 11, 15-year-old story is progressing, and we're seeing, maybe there's a rare spawn that was friendly in Cataclysm, but then was iffy in the pre-patch and is now corrupted. Or there was a character in the pre-patch that now is a rare spawn, or we see them being friendly and we've saved them. So I like how there's some world building going on with the rare spawns. It's not just like, evil Night Saber that drops mount.
Yeah.
They all have lots of
Background
meaning
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that too. And speaking of rare spawns, there's also a lot of cool rewards from the warfronts, and one of them is an interesting item. Apparently, it's being compared to a fidget spinner.
Yeah.
So it's this item here. It's called a Twiddle Twirler.
Yeah.
And this particular one is a Sentinel's Glaive. I noticed there were some other types as well. And it's a toy, and the icon looks like a fidget spinner.
Yeah. My coworker Neri farmed the Horde one, and it is a fidget spinner.
It is actually a fidget
Yeah,
spinner.
it's a fidget spinner.
So do
Yeah.
you hold it in your hand?
Yeah, you hold it like this, and then the camera shifts, and then you just see it swirling.
That's hilarious. I can't believe it. And then
Yeah.
it says, this doesn't seem safe.
So,
All right. So an
fidget
actual
spinners,
fidget
wow.
spinner. There you go.
Yep. Um, Another cool thing I wanted to highlight was the transmog. So it's similar to a Wrathy in that when you complete the Warfront or kill rare spawns, you can get loot that looks like the aesthetic of the Warfront. And we've been highlighting them each build, oh, here's a new Night Elf set, here's a new Forsaken set. And we just wanted to show the Cloth Alliance preset as an example again because it's really pretty. And
It is
I
really
don't
pretty.
know if this is new armor tech, but they've got this sort of transparency going on, which I think is new. I don't think there's ever been any kind of like see-through but still tinted like armor fabrics in the game. So I think it looks super nice. This is my favorite out of all the Alliance sets. It looks the most Night Elf. So I think it's a lot better than the leather mail and plate ones. And then Horde ones, of course, are very Forsaken and Plague and purple and black and green. So
I normally don't like how night elves look, or how sometimes they can look a little bit stiff, but I feel like this dress looks really nice on them.
yeah, it's
I
so
prefer the
it's not
human model normally.
yeah, it's not like heritage armor, but I feel like the set was designed to look good specifically for night elves. So just how they're very tall and the set has like lots of layers on the sides. Like you've got the top, and then you've got the see-through band, then you've got solid band and the belt and the skirt. And I feel like that wouldn't look as good on a smaller race like a gnome where it all just sort of blends together. Um, and if you're like, wow, that's a lot of stuff, I want to learn more, we just announced our guide updates for Darkshore that has all this information and much more. So, for example, the Alliance and Horde actually fight in Darkshore differently. How you get wood is very different. Obviously,
That's interesting.
the Alliance are like, oh, let's preserve the trees, while the Horde has a very different
Yeah.
approach towards the idea of trees. So that's all different. And we also have a guide to the story if you haven't really been paying attention since the burning of Teldrassil and want to know what's been going on, or want to read. If you only play Alliance but you want to know what the Horde story is, we've written all that down. So we've got the story guide. This was the contributions guide. Contributions are going to be a little different in the patch, so fewer up, but like changing more frequently. The Darkshore Rare guide with maps, the Transmog guide with models, the Service Metal guide, and the strategy and building guides.
It's linked in the chat as well in case you want to check it out.
Yep. So that is the main thing, again, coming on the 11th. But then there's also a lot of quality of life improvements and some more quest lines you can work on as well. Starting on the 11th, it's not like group content, but it's interesting things you can do for some rewards. So the next thing is the Blood Elf and Dwarf Heritage armor that you can get. Uh, there's no bizarre, over the top allied race requirements for this. You just need to be that race and max level, and I believe exalted with your city faction. And then
Yep.
you get to do this quest line that tells you more about important moments in that race's lore. So, for example, with the Blood Elves, you learn about Arthas attacking Silvermoon and Kael'thas, who we've only seen in game, as a Tempest Keep boss, when he was being heroic and thinking of ways to make tough decisions that would ultimately ensure the survival of the remaining high elves that are now calling themselves blood elves. And the heritage armor is really pretty. I
Mm-hmm.
really like how the for the blood elves you have the pants option or the dress
Robe.
option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm showing both of the versions. We're sliding through them here in the slideshow, and yeah, I agree. I agree that it's really nice that they're giving you the option of both,
Yeah.
because as a caster clothy, I normally don't have that option. I normally have to go with a robe, and I actually prefer having a sort of vest and pants instead. I think it looks a lot better.
It also feels more practical. Like if you're sort of in the heat of battle, it's like, oh, my robe
Yeah,
just got stuck on my on the Azerite war machine.
right.
um,
Uh, but
I
yeah,
would have liked.
these things. Sorry.
No, go ahead. You go first.
All right. I noticed a question in the chat. So I just wanted to say that these things that we're talking about are coming with the patch, which is coming next week. So
Yeah.
it's the patch called Tides of Vengeance, 8.1,
Yeah.
11th NA, 12th EU.
Hmm.
So next week you can expect these changes. There are a few things more to expect in that patch, but they come later on. But we'll make that clear. For now, the things that we're mentioning now are available next week.
Yep. Um, I was gonna say that with the dwarf heritage armor, I would have liked if they had different tints to represent the three clans, similar to how
Yeah.
the Magre Orcs got the War Song and Blackrock and Frostwolf clan tints.
Mm-hmm.
But
Do you
I
think
don't
it's
know. I
something that
think
might change in the future, or do you think this will be final?
I think they could always add stuff because we saw the Blood Elves get the golden eyes a few months ago, and now then they put the heritage armor in later on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already a precedent that it's not like, oh, we did your one thing for the race, goodbye. They seem to be revisiting it, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping they add more armor tints, or maybe you can unlock further customization, like the tattoos that are unique to one
Mm-hmm.
clan. Like, the Wildhammer have such really interesting tattoos that you see in, Airy Peak. So that would be cool
Mm-hmm.
if it made it in.
I think especially for RP players, being able to represent a clan will be giving so much more depth to your character.
Right.
So
Like they're
that
so
would be
different.
cool.
They were warring for such a long period of time, so it's a little weird to be like, oh, this is the unified thing. Where it's like, well, maybe. Well, I guess Dark Irons have their own. They're their own, heritage armor. But I feel that between Bronzebeard and Wildhammer, you do have some differentiation that would also be good to celebrate in game.
Mm-hmm. I see a comment in the chat. Why show female dwarf model? Everyone knows female dwarfs don't exist. What do you mean? No, I mean, to be fair, most dwarfs that I see are male as well. But, I think it's nice to show them both. And I think the dwarf doesn't look too bad, honestly, after the model update that they did some
Yeah.
years ago.
Also, I mean, a lot of the times when yeah, you have a lot of people the models showing the beards, and then people go, "Oh, why'd you show it on a male dwarf? Because now I can't see what the chest armor is." So yeah, female dwarfs do not have beards.
No, they do not have beard. That is true.
Yeah.
Male dwarves have that mighty beard.
Another quest line is what we already talked about with the Tyrande quest line. The
Mm-hmm.
Alliance get a special appearance. The Horde do not get that appearance, but there are different toys that you can get for doing this quest line. So it's still worth doing if you're a collector or, we're really interested in what happens to the pre-patch story. I know a lot of people were upset that it seemed the pre-patch story was forgotten about in 8.0,
Mm-hmm.
and while the story is not over in 8.1, it is, more in the spotlight more than it
Mm-hmm.
was before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait for that. I love hearing more about Sarfang and what's gonna happen with him.
Yeah. Speaking of Sourfang, he also has a special quest in addition to Tyrande, and I guess that's like the Horde equivalent. How on the Alliance side you get to help her and get this cool appearance, and on the Horde side you get a special extra quest line to you know, protect. Well, that's the interesting thing. You can protect him, or you can sort
Oh
of
yeah, they
like
had the
turn of
options. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that's all interesting how we saw, I mean you all saw this, start of BlizzCon, the Lost Honor cinematic where it looks that Anduin has left the door open for Sourfang. I don't think it's a spoiler because Blizzard just put it on the opening ceremony and everyone saw it, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I
they've
don't think
reached
it's a
some
spoiler.
sort of tentative understanding. And then
Mm-hmm.
in this quest line, you are playing from the point of view of a Horde player that doesn't know that cinematic exists, and all you know is that Sourfang escaped, and Sylvanas has orders to send you off to find Sourfang, and then you start realizing that maybe he got some assistance, and you have a choice to make. Do you want to report back to Sylvanas that you found him, or do you
Yeah.
turn on Sylvanas and her troops with Zappy Boy, who's back, and try to,
Zappy boy.
kill Sylvanas's group and give Sarafang more time to escape?
Mm-hmm.
So the quest ends the same way based on what you choose, but it's interesting how you have a choice, and Blizzard has been hyping up in their interviews more frequently that this could lead to more choices or outcomes in future patches,
Mm-hmm.
which I think would be interesting to see.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I had this idea that if they're talking about Legion and BFA having the same content pacing, and Legion had all these like class quest lines going on at once, but we don't have the class, we don't have like little special class details now. What if they put all that quest time into 12 quest lines that anyone could
Oh,
do, but
depending on
this,
choice.
yeah, depending on choice. So instead of saying, well, I'm going to play like the Death Knight storyline on one alt, you'd say, well, on this other alt, I'm gonna pretend to be like a Sourfang, loyalist, but on
Oh,
my
that would be
next
so
character, I'm gonna be a
cool.
Sylvanas loyalist, and that's how you fit in the same amount of quests, but without the whole class breakdown.
I'm a huge fan of Telltale games, and that's what this sounds like to me. Like being able to
Yeah,
make your choices, and depending on what choice you make, it's like,
yeah,
yeah, this character will remember your choice. Like one of those.
right.
I
So
love that. That
I
would be
think
so cool.
I think that would be interesting,
Mm-hmm.
especially because the choices sort of popped up on the PTR, and then they expanded on it, and then interviews are like, oh, we love this. There's gonna be more, and it's like how in depth is this? Because it just sort of
Mm-hmm.
seemed to pop up based on player feedback, and then
Mm-hmm.
it kept expanding and expanding. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard has something in mind. I
Mm-hmm.
hope there is. I mean, it would feel you don't want it to be a thing where it's like, oh, I made the wrong choice, and now my character is shunned by all the NPCs. But
Maybe there's a
it's
way
still
to reset it or something. Like
right,
for example, if you made Sylvanas angry, maybe there's a choice to like make her happy again by doing an
right,
extra bit of work for her or something
right.
to prove yourself.
Yeah. But I would like to see it developed more, not
Mm-hmm.
so people feel like they're permanently punished if they make a wrong choice, but I like the idea. I think it would have helped in the pre-patch too, because people were all like, well, I didn't want to assist in burning the tree. Like, I would
Yeah.
have liked to have that just option to RP
Yeah.
to just feel better about my actions at this really difficult moment.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's little simple things like because you did that, now when you want to, I don't know, when you want to talk about a certain point of, it could be something random, like talking about missions, for example. That NPC that you talk to will be different depending on which one that
Yeah,
you've.
that reminds me of the Demon Hunter class hall, where at the end of the starting zone you had to choose what character you supported, the Night Elf or the Blood Elf,
Mm, mm-hmm.
and then that NPC that stayed with you then became your sort of assistant in
Yeah.
the Order Hall.
Yeah. And similar with the the followers that you choose and things like that in your class halls.
Yeah.
I think if you make certain decisions or choices, then that affects what NPCs will give you simple like daily things. Would also be interesting because then like let's say you're with a friend, but then your friend has picked a different route, then you guys will go to different NPCs to pick up the same quest. I think that could be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Uh,
Another thing
mhm.
that's coming quest-wise are the very early steps of the Alliance and Horde War campaign. You cannot binge and do these all at once. It's going to be staggered, but you want to start doing these because you'll need to finish it in order to unlock the cool Tiras and Zandalari allied races coming in 815.
Ooh, mm-hmm. Good to know. So
And
jump straight into them.
yeah, and these are the war campaigns that are related to why we end up fighting in Dazar Alor in January.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, we learned today that's coming January 22nd.
Oh, really?
Uh,
There's a date for it.
Yeah, we have a date for it now. We
Okay.
learned that. We learned that after I gave you the notes.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Yeah, because I was
yeah,
like, oh, I didn't know that. So January 22nd.
yeah,
That's pretty generous. That's letting
yeah,
people come back from, their holidays, traveling and all
and
that
then some.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then an extra week.
yeah,
Like
too.
people, yeah, actually, yeah,
Yeah,
that's actually pretty late. I was expecting it to be mid-January, like at the latest, like
right.
15th at the latest. I was expecting between 10 and 15. Okay,
Yeah,
but that's cool.
yeah. But you
Giving
can
people
start the
time.
early steps. You can start the early steps now, and you can. The stakes are higher than the earlier part of the campaign. So, like, Jane is more involved, Sylvanas is involved. We see what happens to the Abyssal Scepter, or why they wanted to, steal Derek Proudmoore's body. And Rexar is back. So all the characters you saw from the first war campaign are back, but just the story is more dramatic because now we're people are debating, having war on a city, not just little skirmishes.
Mm-hmm.
Another topic are faction assaults. I feel like these didn't get a lot of attention throughout the PTR, but they're a thing and they're actually pretty good for alts.
Yeah, because I haven't read that much about them. So are they like kind of special world quests?
They're like Legion assaults, but they have more of like a PvP angle to them.
It's not the
Because
same
they
thing as incursions, is it?
they call them incursions and they change the name to
So
assaults.
it is okay. So it is
Yeah,
that. All right. Okay. I
yeah.
wasn't sure. Okay. Faction assaults. All right. And so that's going to be a good way of gaining a lot of experience, a good way to level alts and
Right.
reputation.
Yeah, because you get this quest, and when the incursion is up, to complete the incursion, you have to do 4 world quests in the areas, and then the overall quest gives you like
Mm.
500 or 1,000 rep, depending if it's your home or enemy continent. And then if you're not 120, you get this temporary experience boost where doing stuff rewards you with more experience.
Okay. So is it kind of like so you complete a certain number of quests to
Yeah, so the incursion's up. There's a special world quest. You do 4 of them, and then you get this like quest completion bonus. And
mm-hmm,
then the incursion goes away after I think 7 hours.
mm-hmm. So very similar to Legion Assault in that
Yeah,
case. All
yeah.
right. Good to
And
know.
then because it's on the enemy continent, there are things like, war mode that can be an issue. I believe it's up for the Alliance and Horde at the same time, so you could be clashing with the enemy faction as well, which everyone doesn't really like that, but it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you can also get a cache of armor when you do each one. So if you have a fresh alt, this could be a good way to get some loot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still don't have any alts at 120. Well, I've always been the kind of person to just focus on one character, get all the achievements, get all the
Yeah,
reputations, get all the items, get everything. And apart from Warfront rares, which are not really farmable that often, like you,
right.
you get to kill them like once a month or something.
Yeah,
Apart from that, I haven't really been needing alts to help my completionist needs. So
right.
I was like, okay, in that case, I'll wait a little bit. Hopefully, these faction assaults will be very good, and I'll level through that because I'm going to be deciding between either that or island expeditions. I think island expeditions are also very good because at the same time, I'd be farming towards the items that I need.
Right. And they're changing how that works, but
Yes, which we'll
it
go
still
into
helps you.
soon. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it's apparently still good very experience, and with the changes that are coming, it's actually even better to farm, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Should we just jump into it straight away?
Yeah, why don't we discuss that
All
instead?
right.
So, islands.
Yeah, island expeditions.
Yeah.
Rewards have been simplified.
A
So,
lot.
in case, yeah, a lot. In case you were not aware of how they used to work, in the past, the way that it worked was you kill certain NPCs or certain mobs rather, and if they are of a special kind, that gives you or increases the chance of you to gain an item that is sort of related to that mob. So for example, if you kill like pirate like creatures, you're more likely to get pirate like items, whether it's
Right.
toys or mount or anything. The way that it is now, what you kill does not matter, but instead, whatever island expedition you happen to be in, whatever mobs happen to spawn, is kind of like identifying what type of loot that you'll get at the end. So
Right.
that means having those speed runs of
Hmm.
completing it in 5 minutes is super efficient way of trying to get that special mount that you're after, or the special I don't know, toy or pet or anything. Like, you don't have to worry about what items you need. And the reasoning that Blizzard gave was it kind of caused a little bit of tension
Right.
between people. So as much as it might have been a fun system for people to experiment with, I think they might have kept it as it was if it was a solo experience. But because it's a group experience, people want different things. Some people are interested in those pirate NPCs to kill. Some
And
people,
there's so different ways to farm them. It was like it just
so
was sort
many
of not
different ways.
compatible.
Yeah, and especially
Yeah.
because you queue up and you go in with randoms. Like,
Right.
you're not even. It's not even like has to be a pre-made group, right? So you can queue up, and then you've been matched with two other people who want to complete it as fast as possible, and you want to go ahead and only focus on the pirates, and that will cause clashing in the group. And I can
Right.
imagine that the vote kick system was being abused because
Mm-hmm.
one person disagrees with how they want to do it, because they don't want to kill those mobs, they want to kill something else. So this is a way to still flavor it in the sense that what mobs are in your map affects what you get, but you don't have to focus killing those. You can focus whatever the group wants to.
And I think that the sorting it out is a fun mini game when you're like, oh, there's a dagger called, Dagger of the Old Gods. Like, will there be old gods in an island in the future? Or,
Yeah.
there's like a Gilneas Top Hat. Is there going to be some like Worgen NPCs? So I think it's a fun game of having the reward types associated with mobs. But I agree that it was having to kill them all in a group and hoping your group had the same goals that you did. Just seems it was not intuitive and not
Mm-hmm.
good for encouraging, repeat group gameplay.
Yeah. I think it makes sense, especially with the whole LFG thing. That
And they
I
never
think this was
explained how
needed.
it worked. So like you could tell your groups, you could say, "Hey, like I want to kill this slowly so I can get my rewards at the end." And people say like Blizzard didn't say that's how it worked. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
another
kill this
thing. It
slowly.
wasn't
Like,
very
you know,
transparent.
you're just trolling me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep, that is very true. It would be different if it was visible in the game. Like, yeah, now you've unlocked this loot table, or now you have a higher chance of getting these items. But no, it was completely secret, kind of. Well, not secret, but it was hard to read it. So that probably ended up making it more difficult for groups to also get along, I can
Yeah.
imagine. But yeah, I like
Talking.
this. So now connecting back to the leveling thing, now suddenly leveling my ults will be a lot more efficient, because people were telling me like, yeah, but if you're on your ult is weak, and if you're gonna be focusing certain mobs, that's gonna be annoying to farm. This way, I don't have to worry about the mobs. I just quickly complete them.
Yeah. Another interesting thing is that with the two new islands coming, that means that there's more rewards associated with these islands. So there's a Vrykul kind of themed island that has a really interesting transmog set, and then the kind of Gilneas themed island has an interesting tuxedo and fancy dress set with a top hat that I think is transmogable by cloth users. So
Mm-hmm.
those are some interesting island rewards coming in the patch as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and since Blizzard is all about vendors, there is a vendor now for Seafarer doubloons as well. That's the island currency. Currently, you can spend it to get buffs, but in the patch, you can get interesting mounts with it, as well as if you want to work on your Paragon reputation, which we'll get to soon, you can get repeatable turn-in tokens by spending these Seafarer doubloons.
Wait, for reputation?
Yeah, so you can spend 100
Oh.
doubloons to get an item that you turn in for 250 rep.
I need this for my Legion Paragon reps.
I know. Well, at least it's kind of better for BFA, but I know we'll talk about Paragon in a minute. How it's a
Yeah,
little, it's
but
still kind
that's
of
cool.
sad for collectors.
Yeah, but
Uh,
it's that means if you're a collector, you probably have a sea of doubloons already, because you're farming to try and get pets, mounts, and quest items and whatnot. So you probably have a lot of them spare. So that's good. That's a good little bonus to know.
yeah. Another vendor coming is Mythic Plus for Azurite vendors. There is a Titan Residuum, and that is a currency you get, and you can spend it on a weekly basis. Uh, the item level will not be as high as it will be in season two. It will be increasing, but this is meant to be a way for you to target Azurite in certain slots you need, or for a premium price, target specific Azurite pieces if you are after a certain trait.
Yeah.
Which also seems to be a good system as well.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Like,
mm-hmm.
Felt they were losing a lottery, and
Yep.
there was all that drama when it was like, oh, we actually changed it to not be 1 to 3 pieces, and everyone was like, what's going on?
Some people were still concerned about how it takes too long to get a specific Azurite piece, but I mean,
right.
It's a specific piece. Like, that's probably going to be a best, and you'll never change it again. Like, I think it's okay if it takes some weeks to get there, you know?
Right, and you can keep earning stuff on the side, like if you do raids or war fronts. This does not, and there's
this isn't the only source.
Yeah, there's other problems with Azurite. I mean, like this isn't solving everything. There's still the idea of, oh, I got an upgrade, but I can't equip it yet because I don't have the right, knowledge level. There's still all those issues. They are making the respec costs decay faster. So if you are respeccing with different specs, you shouldn't have as much of a, gold deficit. But there's still issues with Azurite, but this is hopefully improving the Mythic Plus side of it. And if it goes well, hopefully we'll get more improvements to Azurite.
Yeah, hopefully this, I think this is a huge improvement, like you said, and hopefully some more improvements comes along after it. I think Blizzard realized, having that sort of slot machine wasn't very, very good, because if you're unlucky, then you're going to be very sad, and then there's nowhere to work or progress towards, and there's nothing where you feel like you did some good work. And
I still wish there was a visual system for Azurite, like the artifacts. I thought that just was such a fun addition, having a visual component as well as learning about the lore through the artifact books, which is missing with the Azurite system.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the weapon was actually better in a lot of different ways. I think visually too, which is something that we've talked about before. I think visually the artifact weapons were a lot cooler. Maybe it's a little bit complicated now because, we don't all get our unique Azurite pieces. We're kind of sharing them with other people. I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't feel too special.
Yeah, it feels like it's very complicated, but it's not really personal. You don't spend a lot of time in it, but you could really get lost doing things like balance of power or the hidden appearances, or when you gain knowledge you learned, you could read another book, a page in your book, or I don't know, they're just all the stories tied to the artifacts are interesting. But with Azurite, it's just like we're collecting it and we think that Magni's happy, but we're actually collecting something horrible and volatile, sense of impending doom.
And in terms of transmog, I don't know about you guys, but when I had my weapon, I would choose different skins of the weapon as transmog. Like, I would never be interested in transmogging it into something else. Whereas with the Azurite gear, like, I don't even know how my Azurite gear looks like.
Right, it's not unique. It's just there.
Yeah.
So
I think they could have been a bit more special in how they look as well as how they are.
Yeah, so if you're not someone that's hardcore into needing the best Azurite trait, you can at least engage with the system by having something visual. Like if you're more casual, or you're just like, I don't know if I'm going to play this alt. Oh, I'll get this cool artifact weapon, and maybe I'll like do LFR to get this. So maybe I'll try a Mythic Plus. I think that's good, but with the Azurite, it's just like, well, if you don't care about needing the best trait, why are you like? There's no reason to really engage with the system right now.
I think that about covers it, right? For what we can expect to see on the 11th NA or 12th EU for the new patch 8.1. There are other things too which will happen in the patch, but they will come a little bit later.
Yep.
So the first thing that we mentioned before was the new raid, Battle of the Zara Lore, which is now announced to be for January 22nd. So you have about a month and 2 weeks, a week or so until then.
Yeah.
So you can start
You have a lot
prepping.
of time.
You have a lot of time to prep for it. So
Yeah.
don't worry if you have Christmas celebrations or vacations or traveling. You have a lot of time after those times, and you'll still make it. I think normally schools in Sweden, at least, people go back to school like January 10th ish. I'm not
Right.
sure how it is in the US.
We don't have as much vacation time. So it's
Okay.
like January 3rd, you're back in school. I guess college,
So
like,
even for children, you don't have that
yeah,
much
for
vacation time?
children, you don't have much vacation. If you're in college, they tend to do a thing where you have all of January off, where it's like a creative mini semester type of thing.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha. Yeah, I
yeah.
think kids here have like 3 weeks or four. Yeah, about 3 weeks for Christmas holidays, and then about 2 months for summer, something like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Also worth noting with the raid that that's just normal and heroic. Mythic comes on the 29th.
Gotcha. So a week later for Mythic. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yep. Also coming is season 2 of PvP and PvE, so that means that the arena season, as well as reaping in Mythic Keystone dungeons, and with that means that all the item level rewards will be increased. So when you hear stuff like, oh, 415 from Mythic and 400 from the World Boss, or like 410 from the Mythic Cache, like, that's not coming December 11th. You can only get the item level rewards being higher once this new season starts.
Do we know what the special affix is going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be reaping, and it's Bwansamdi themed. So there are all these spirits that can periodically spawn when you kill a certain amount of mobs, and Bwansamdi has these little vengeful spirits be annoying to you. So
Okay.
sort of like Infested was Gahoon themed and Reaping is Bwansamdi themed because he plays such a big role in the upcoming story, now kind of being like the patron Loa of Devour lore.
Does that mean all these spirits kind of just like spawn suddenly and you have to kill them all?
I need to read. Let me pull out the specifics quickly. I might be bright on the screen.
All
Let's
right,
see.
no worries. But yeah, I do think it's very interesting to have a special affix which is only there for that patch. So we had, like Perk mentioned, we had Infested for Gahoon, and now we have something to do with spirits for Bwansamdi. And then for the raid tier after that, which will change the Mythic Plus season as well, we will
Oh,
get
here we
something
go.
else.
From the method interview, every 20% on the enemy forces bar, Bwansamdi will resurrect all spirits from the creatures you have killed, and they will all rush you. There will also be really cool Bwansamdi themed effects, including a blood moon that will rise whenever this effect takes place. There will be a different effect as well for when you lose the timer, but no spoilers until testing starts.
Oh, okay.
And reaping should feel less slow than infested, giving players to control when the effect happens.
What was it when what loses 20%?
Uh, every 20% on the enemy forces bar. So I assume when you're like 20% completed
Oh,
or
okay,
like
okay.
40%
Yeah,
completion.
so it'll happen like 5 times, 4 times.
Yeah, which is interesting because I guess you can try to time it so it happens at a convenient time for you and not
Exactly.
at the worst
Yeah,
possible
yeah.
time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's gonna. I think that's gonna be less chaotic. But it might still be difficult depending on how strong those things are. But yeah, sometimes infested was just really chaotic because like you accidentally pull something and then like that thing has a infested and then something just happened
Yep,
to die which was infested and then yeah, and then chaos.
yep. Also, this is when we will get the fifth Azurite ring on new pieces. It's a little confusing because if there is some Azurite traits that are getting a nerf, that's going to be happening on the 11th along with class changes. But the fifth ring, which will have a ton of new traits, that's going to be coming with season 2 in January.
And speaking of like things being a little bit weird with timing, the balances or the balancing rather has also concerned a lot of PvP players because the season
Mhm.
2 does not start until
Yeah, that's
this
weird.
happens, which
Yeah.
is January 22nd. And initially I was like, oh, it makes sense, guys. I mean, new raids here, that's when we get new gear, so it makes sense
Yeah.
that the new PvP season will be at that point as well. But there's actually a lot of very important balancing changes, and that means that the PvP meta could actually change completely, and that's happening mid-season. Well, not mid,
Yeah.
but
Maybe they
with
could
still
do
a month to
something
go.
like I don't know, maybe they could do something where the Warfront and the stories could be the 11th, but maybe the class changes should have
Yeah.
come with season two, not
I think
now.
so too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the class changes should have definitely waited until season two. It makes sense with the new raid. It makes sense with the new PvP season. It makes sense with a lot of things. I think having it changed now is just weird. I mean, unless everything is changing identically, which
Yeah.
it's probably not, it's gonna change things a lot in PvP.
Yeah.
Maybe not that much in PvE, but yeah, I think it might have been better to wait until January. But here we are. So if you're a PvPer and you're pushing for that last, 50 rating to get Gladiator, or, well, any rating for that matter, any title, you should probably try and finish it before this patch in case your class changes in such a way where you cannot, play to the same level
Right.
immediately, because the
Yeah.
season will be gone in about a month. So,
hmm Um, on a different topic, we've got some leveling and alt improvements that are going to be coming on the 11th. It's not like content you should do on the 11th, but you can start doing it. And the experience requirements are greatly reduced, especially in the 60 to 80 range, which people should be
mm-hmm,
happy about because that's been an issue since the pre-patch, how that range was so weird and Blizzard didn't seem to realize why it was strange and didn't know how to fix it right away.
mm-hmm,
And then other ways to get experience, we talked about the assaults and the incursions. They give extra experience after completion. We talked about the new heirlooms and experience potions from service medals. And
mm-hmm.
this is interesting. So war mode now gives more stuff for the lesser populated faction. So if you're max level, it's like so it's basically 30% instead of 10% if you're really underrepresented. So war mode, if you're like leveling as alliance usually, you can now get a 30% experience boost instead of a 10% experience boost.
That's pretty generous. I
Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to solve faction balance. It might help you level faster if you're just playing in a zone where no one is, but I don't know if that will actually help people that are engaging in war mode. It's like, oh, I'm still like one person versus 10 here. That's fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, maybe. I mean, 30% is a lot. Like, it's a big difference. So maybe more alliance characters will be more likely to try out the mode now. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what they were hoping. I'm not sure. I mean, a lot of people choose to not PvP because they just don't want to PvP. So if there is a faction
Yeah.
imbalance, it could be for other reasons, such as your server has a lot of raiders, hardcore raiders who all go horde. So there might be a lot of imbalances on your server for other reasons than the leveling itself. But maybe it'll boost the interest a little bit.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're level 60 and you have war mode on, like, awesome, great. Well, I guess you can't be level 60, but like, I guess if you're questing and no one's around you, that's great. But if you are surrounded by the horde, maybe that 30% isn't really doing too much if you're going to be dead.
No, no, exactly. Like it's not worth it if you're just being ganked, but
Right. Something
maybe
which,
there'll be a few more
yeah,
fellow faction players next to you.
yeah, you'll be 2 against 10.
Yeah, you'll be two against them.
Something
Exactly.
I think could maybe change things more is how the racial imbalance is a bit
Yeah.
flattened out in the raid. So if you're doing a horde story encounter, the as you play an alliance character, you'll be flipped in mercenary mode to your horde equivalent with horde racials. So there won't be an edge to have one type of racial over the other. Everyone will be fighting, Jaina with horde racials or Rastakhan with alliance racials.
Wait, is that? Are you suggesting that, or are
No,
they
they,
doing
they
that?
are. They are
Oh,
doing
okay,
it. Yeah.
cool. Okay,
Yeah, that's 100% happening. So it's not like, oh,
like it changes your racials, not just how you look.
yeah. So everyone has the same,
Mm.
yeah. So, and that's the same logic that mercenary mode has. So if you're a night elf, that's a certain class, you'll, go to one specific horde combo. But if you're a different class, you might have another race. So it's all mapped out already. I'm sure there are people that are playing one faction that are already thinking about like what's the best mercenary thing they can turn into and are trying to like plan that
Oh,
in
yeah.
advance.
So they check like what does the human turn into? What does the night elf
Right.
turn
It's
into?
like like which alliance combos can turn into blood elves.
Yeah, yeah.
You turn into that. But I think that will almost do more to help the playing field. I don't think it will make things amazing, but I think it has more of a chance of helping things, like actually showing that thing, just not having that variation, I think goes a long way.
I think they should just straight up buff some alliance racials in a PvE environment. I think PvP is not. I don't know actually. I feel like PvP is more balanced in terms of Horde and Alliance, but I might just not know. Maybe
I
I'm
think
just
they
not
started.
experienced.
I know when we talked about Uldir, and we were speculating how the faction balance would turn out, we mentioned how, hey, they've been trying to do this for PvP for a while, and it seems to have improved things. So maybe PvP seems more balanced because Blizzard has been trying these incentives,
Yeah,
like
I think so.
top 100 kills for a period of time. Um, they didn't just try to address it starting in BFA, but I do think that you do have issues when you go out into the world and the world PvP seems imbalanced.
Yeah,
So maybe competitive PvP is better than the world PvP right now.
yeah, yeah. Maybe that's it. Someone
Yeah.
chats says Alliance has better PvP ratios. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's why it's become a
Yeah.
little bit more balanced. But for PvE, people are still sticking to Horde. Or,
Right.
well, guilds are still
And
sticking
with
to Hordes.
PvP, you don't have as many people to manage. Like with
Exactly. I was just.
Mythic, you're like over 20 people you have to manage.
Exactly. So if you have a mythic guild to server change everybody, that's a lot of money, very expensive. It would never happen unless the racial is really good for Alliance. And maybe that's what we need for like an expansion or two, make Alliance really strong. And that way, maybe, or maybe just, offer guilds a free transfer,
Yeah, another
to
interesting
make it a little
thing.
bit more equal.
Yeah, JB in his Mythic Plus Q&A for Wowhead recently was talking about how for PvE, Alliance racials are actually really good. Like you can do crazy Shadow Meld
Oh, yeah.
skips.
Mm-hmm.
And, we saw some of that at the MDI, and he was saying that because for PvE, you might do Mythic Plus, but you feel that you have to do other things such as raiding, people tend to stay Horde, but overall, Alliance in the smaller group content is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it seems that rating has like a ripple effect over other types of content where
Mm-hmm.
it's not you don't need that horde racial to do well at dungeons, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the being able to do the raid to get your gear. It seems
Yeah.
more important than just being a little, fragmented and doing
Yeah.
OP alliance runs.
Like horde PvP racial or horde racials were OP before. They're not OP like crazy at the moment, but because there's too many people involved, it's just hard
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
guilds go alliance.
Yeah. This next topic is one that you have probably interested in as a collector. It's 8.1 reputation changes. So
Mm-hmm.
there are Paragon rewards, but also some quality and life improvements. We'll discuss them first because they're happier. The heart of level, item level requirements, the eligibility that will be account wide, so you don't need to regrind reputation to get your item level boosts on alts. You can just show up if your main character has it done and pick up the quest to do it. Transmog, instead of needing to grind out reputation on all your alts to use a cosmetic appearance, you just need one character to buy the item, and then your alts can use it without needing that reputation. So that's really cool, especially things like the Laughing Skull masks are always really neat, or different tabards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's neat. But the more contentious change is Paragon rewards. They're coming for BFA.
Yep.
It's good. But there's all these RNG things to grind out now, which is less good.
Yeah.
So,
I'm happy that there's no mount.
yeah.
Because I feel like the pressure for a mount is higher personally
Mm-hmm.
than like a pet or a toy. But obviously you have to catch them all, right? So
Yep. And there's so many of them.
yeah, there's a lot. Let me show them. Got a picture here somewhere. Bum bum bum. Paragon reputation. There we go. So we have this example, which is specifically alliance factions.
Yeah.
You see the Proudmoore Admiralty, Order of Embers, Storm's Wake, and Seventh Legion, and they have like 2 items each.
Yeah. So some of the ones like Seventh Legion don't have as many toys, but they have some recipes instead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's like 2 toys or a mount, not a mount, a pet or a toy.
Mm-hmm.
And Storm's Wake's interesting because you have a glyph that can change the appearance of your border elemental, which I think is interesting. It's nice to have some variation. I'm sure that will sell for a lot of money. uh,
Yeah,
and
I think it's
what
cool,
I
but
think,
then it should have been like just from a vendor
yeah,
instead of Paragon box.
The Proud Mom music box is interesting because it plays like a music box version of Daughter of the Sea,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds really neat. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
used to be being very orchestral, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very tinkly and delicate this way.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I think is really cool for the Horde faction is the toy from Talanji that turns you into a blood troll for 15 minutes. Everyone was like, "Oh, that looks so cool! I want them to be an ally race, even though they're clearly evil." And now you can be one for a little bit of time.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is the toy I'm showing you right now. It says, trade your blood to the blood god and be disguised as a blood troll for 15 minutes. There it is. And we also have some rewards for the neutral factions.
Yep,
So we have Champions of Azeroth and Tortolan Seekers.
that seems like such a bad idea having an Azerite firework launcher. Like that just seems like
Yeah.
not very safe and not good with how bad Azerite is. Like let's just have this nice like
Yeah, I
explosion
hope it's not
Azerite
made of
go.
Azerite, you know? That would be pretty
Oh no,
dangerous.
no, it's the use is launch unstable Azerite skyward in a dazzling
It
display.
actually
So
says unstable.
yeah,
Okay.
unstable Azerite. So we're really doomed.
Oh.
We're just
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, destroying the world right here with this Azerite.
I also noticed that Tortolan Seekers has 3 items instead of
Yeah, I
two.
think there's actually one more feast. Maybe because it's neutral, they want to give you more stuff to grind out,
Mm-hmm.
or they want you to save turtles. One of
You
the
save the
toys
turtles.
one of the toys is Kojo Master Matching Set, which is like a Uber version of Shell Game. So fortunately,
Oh.
it's not the Turtle Daily, but it is the Shell Game that you get
I've
to
heard
play.
it's a lot harder than the regular quests.
Yeah.
So that's
So
cool. That's fun.
maybe it's something you can do like in between raids if you're bored. You can work on
Yeah.
that.
Just take it out. Yeah. Like they have those other mini games too, right? Like the jewel crafting toys.
Yeah, Blingtron has like the circuitry game that
Mm-hmm.
you can play.
Mm-hmm.
Bejeweled, they've got that.
Something else that I kind of realized is Tortolan has 3 items instead of two,
Yeah.
and there's a lot fewer Tortolan quests.
Oh
So
no, gotta
it's
grind.
gonna take a long time to even get one item.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think that
it's gonna
they're
be a while.
eligible for the you can do them for island turn-ins. So you
Yeah,
can
I'm
take the
gonna
superior
spam that. Hmm.
yep to move that rep along.
I think it might actually officially be faster to do island expeditions for Tortolan rep because, well, maybe
Oh,
not
that's
faster,
interesting.
but it's time gated, right? Like once
Right.
you've done the what is it, 3 Tortolan quests,
Mhm.
you can't really do anymore. So if you want to farm it, what you can do is then spam island expeditions, which
Right.
and if you farm them at the low levels, it's actually very fast. Although I think you get more doubloons at the higher difficulties.
Right. Well, if you're doing it, the reputation item that you can turn in, that can also be a random reward for doing the islands, so you can
Okay,
get lucky and get some more that way.
yeah, that's good to know.
One thing I wanted to mention with islands that I totally forgot about is that when you do your weekly now for the island, you get a treasure map, and the treasure map opens a mission, and if you 200% the mission, you get a lot of extra artifact power, and completing it
Oh,
gives you some gold and more artifact power.
okay.
So it
So
sort of
even more AP.
incentivizes you. Yeah, even more AP, even more reason to do the weekly and to care a little bit about your followers, make sure they're all leveled up.
Mm-hmm. I actually have I have one achievement left in the war effort section, and it's like that one quest. It's called Steam Weedle something, and I've been looking for it for weeks or months for a long time. It just will never pop up. So I'm just there like, okay, it's not here again. So I guess I'll send my followers on an Azerite power mission, or if I see like the reputation ones, I'm like, well, I can't use them for Paragon. Do you know if I would? Is it possible to keep them but just not pick them up?
Like to just like have
Like
one always
send my
active so you don't have to get
followers.
more of them.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
send your followers?
yeah, send my
Yeah.
follower like one follower each for each reputation mission that comes up, and just don't complete it until the Paragon is introduced.
Interesting. I don't know. I feel like Blizzard would try to not let people do that.
Probably not.
Like, oh, you must have an equal playing field.
But they do
So
allow it with emissaries, right? Or do they reset them?
I think emissaries they always say they're resetting them, but then they always are like, oops, we never did. Um,
Okay.
but yeah,
I'll keep my emissaries. I mean, not that I'm doing the world quests anyway, so they would still just be sitting there, but I'll
yeah,
pretend and feel like I did a very smart decision and just not do them,
yeah,
not complete them. So I have them for the Paragon boxes.
yeah. Well, speaking of amount that collectors like that is easier to get, the Meat Wagon mount is coming in patch 8.1. And
Yeah.
this is the special mount that you get if you purchase the deluxe edition of Warcraft 3 Reforged, which is known as Spoils of War.
And
And
there it is.
it looks cool. It has little catapults that move.
And it's an actual real catapult, right? Like it actually
Yep.
works.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I've been kind of like postponing or like just thinking like, yeah, I'll get it soon. I'll get it soon. I'll
Yeah.
pre-purchase soon, and I'll just keep
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not in the game anyways. And now it's getting, now it's real. Now it's the
Yeah.
pixels are being added to my game, so now I gotta go and pre-purchase so I can get my mount.
Yeah, so this doesn't mean that you can play Warcraft 3 when you buy it. It just
No.
means that, like sometimes you get your BlizzCon rewards earlier than actual BlizzCon, like where you buy a collector's edition and stuff shows up when you purchase it. Like you could do your allied races back in January, even though BFA was in August. So this is the same thing. So you can get your mount in Warcraft now for pre-ordering Warcraft 3, but it has to be the special edition.
Yep. Spoils of War. So if you buy the regular Warcraft 3, you don't get it.
No.
Okay.
You have to get the special version, and then there's other interesting stuff. You get like a Hearthstone card back, or you get the heroes from Warcraft 3, their hero versions and Heroes of the Storm.
Okay.
And I think more rewards are coming for all the other games too.
Okay. Good to know. So there you go. Do not
Yep.
buy the original like bundle
Yeah, don't get the
version.
budget version. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you will miss out. Maybe Blizzard will be nice and let you like just do an upgrade, but keep that in mind.
Yeah. So for our final topic, we didn't do a show for a few weeks, and there actually wasn't a ton of noteworthy news. But one of the things that popped up during our break was an article that was by Kotaku that had a lot of anonymous interviews with Blizzard employees. So you could discredit it as like, oh, it's anonymous, but it was really in depth. Talking about what was going on at Blizzard behind the choice to do Diablo Immortal and what could we be seeing as far as mobile games with the Warcraft franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So, what seemed to be the most interesting was that they were, based on the interviews and speculating, they're saying that Blizzard has been developing a Warcraft version similar to Pokemon Go, but like Warcraft Go, but with more single player content in it. And they were citing specifics such as apparently it's internally in testing. Some of the Blizzard developers that created pet battles that are very passionate about mobile games and Pokemon are saying that they're working on Warcraft games, but they're not working on the Warcraft battle for Azeroth, and they've been quiet for a few years. So there's speculation that kind of the battle pet like crew from Warcraft is now working on this mobile game based on the success of Pokemon Go to do a game in that genre.
Warcraft
And
Go.
yeah, and at the time, like a few months ago, well, probably even closer to a year, at one of those Activision calls, Blizzard announced something to the effect that their focus was going to be on expanding mobile games to their core franchises. Now, WoW players don't really pay attention to the earning calls because they don't talk about subscriber numbers anymore. But
Yeah.
I mean, so when we look back and we saw this, we're like, oh, like that was like this explains Diablo Immortal, and
Yep.
we shouldn't be so surprised when at BlizzCon with more interviews. It's like, oh yeah, more mobile games are in the works because Blizzard told us this like a long time ago
Mm-hmm.
that they were actively doing this.
And
Uh,
Pokemon is very successful. And
yeah,
it's very successful now on the Nintendo Switch as well. And I'm sure the Nintendo Switch game mode could have even actually been on a mobile. Like it's a very
right,
simple graphic wise and gameplay wise and all that stuff. It's very similar to Pokemon Go, but obviously a lot better. More story and
right.
more work put into it. Uh,
I also find it interesting because people were always asking for pet battles on phones, and it's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't be really mad if they made a mobile game because people have wanted something with
I
pets on
want
mobile for a while.
I want my pet battles on phone though, so I can finally get my 5,000 wins. It takes way too long,
Well,
and
they
it's
just announced trainers battles in Pokemon Go, and that they basically announced like PvP pet battles and
okay.
different leagues of them. Like they announced it this week, so
That's for
I could see
Pokemon.
that. Yeah, and
Okay.
I could see so many cool things that Blizzard would want to do. Like Pokemon Go does community days where a special thing only spawns for 3 hours, like once a month,
Mm-hmm.
and like you can trade stuff with people and you basically go to this one area and you catch a bunch of stuff and it's really fun. People are really social. And I could see Blizzard wanting to do that, build some actual face-to-face interactions like, oh, like let's, storm this castle now or,
Yeah.
let's take down the Ragnaros battle pet. And they could do fun activations at things like BlizzCon or Gamescom where it's like, oh, like the crazy BlizzCon battle pet Pokemon thing has spawned. Like, let's all go on a
Yeah.
raid together and
Oh, that would
do it, or
actually be so cool at BlizzCon.
like yeah, like
Everyone moved
releasing.
together.
No, that's what happened. Like, it's Pokemon did a special thing during BlizzCon, and I went out to catch it, and all the raids were
Oh.
filled up with people taking a break from BlizzCon to go catch the special shiny Gengar that was
Oh,
only spawning for 3 hours.
wow.
So like, wouldn't that be nice? It's like, oh well, at BlizzCon you can fight like Ragnaros as a group on your phone, and then you can get like a little shiny baby Ragnaros battle pet. So I would
Yeah,
be okay
that's
with that.
cool.
Not to replace content in Warcraft,
The
obviously,
thing
but
is, though, if they do
yeah,
that, I'm not sure if they would connect the two. Like, I feel like it would be its own
yeah,
standalone game, and I still want my pet battles on mobile so I can get my 5,000 wins. Because I'm at
right,
2.5 thousand, and
yeah,
it's taken me years to get there.
right. I mean, I think that's a limitation with the system how PvP pet battles are not set up very. If they're not very enticing to do.
Hmm.
Uh, but it would be
I
cool
think
if they
more
had
people would do it if
integration.
it was a mobile game. Like imagine that, like when you're, because
Yeah,
currently, if you're somebody, because a lot of people who play WoW do not really play other games. Like a lot of people
right.
kind of invest all their gaming time on WoW. So when you're out traveling, there's not that many WoW things you
No,
can do,
that's
except
why
for
I do
sending your
Pokemon Go.
followers. Yeah,
Yeah,
except
yeah,
for sending your followers on missions, there's not much you can do on your phone. So I feel like if they would add pet battles, it would increase more people to, possibly play because it's like, okay, this kind of affects what I have in the game as well. Achievements, maybe even add some transmog or things that you can unlock with it.
yeah.
And I think it would become better in many different ways. Like, for example, another problem I have with pet battles is that sometimes when I play, I end up meeting the same person 10 times in a row.
Right, and
And
that's not
that's
cool.
because there's not that many people playing. But if it's on mobile, if it's the only WoW game that you can play on mobile, except for sending your followers on missions, and you're completely bored and not doing anything, you'll probably, just play a pet battle or two.
Yeah. Another thing that could be interesting is how in Pokemon Go, these raids can spawn at certain locations and they're only up for an hour or so. And for the difficult ones, you need a full group of 20 people to take the boss down.
That's how it
And
is right now.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
that's so cool. I didn't even
it's
know.
really cool,
I
but
haven't
it's
played
like,
much Pokemon Go.
if you live in an area where there's not a lot of people or you can't coordinate in the game to take down the raid, so you need to rely on discords, or for some reason my town is into Slack, and you need to coordinate the events going on in a discord. There's no automated API or bots that these third-party sites or communities can use to know when the raids are starting, so it relies on like people just being nice and manually saying what's up. And Blizzard would have such an interesting advantage with BattleNet tech set up and the community system, because you could have your own communities set up to do whatever the raid battle equivalent would be, and Blizzard
Mm-hmm.
could set up little alerts where it's like, hey, here's the Los Angeles, like, Warcraft Go community. Here's a
Yep.
ding, like Ragnaros has spawned. And
Yeah,
I
the
think that could
communities
be
can be
an
used so well for that.
yeah, and I think that could be an interesting use of the community feature because it is really lacking in Pokemon Go, and I hate always having to swap between the actual game and then Discord and then Slack just to know what's
Mm,
going on and who's nearby to coordinate anything.
yeah. Yeah,
And you
no,
already
I
have a
agree.
built-in list of friends as well. So yeah, maybe we will be getting PvP pet battles because with Pokemon just announcing their version of it coming to Pokemon Go, maybe the WoW team will be like, like, let's see how it works out for them and let's get some ideas for our version of the mobile
Yeah.
game.
I think it would work really well because we already have a bunch of pets in the game, and a lot of people have pets, even if they don't do like pet battles. A lot of people have pets and like to collect pets.
I want Pepe in the game. I
Yeah,
want Pepe to be like, special like
very
daily quest,
strong.
like kill, not kill, but like capture three Pepes, or like maybe
Hmm.
Pepes only spawn on trees or something like that.
Or prove to this King Pepe that you're worthy.
Exactly. Yes, King Pepe. I like that. But yeah, I think if they do it well, it could be interesting. And I'm actually a lot more hyped thinking about this pet battle spinoff than I am thinking about, Diablo Immortal. So
Yeah, I think Diablo Immortal is. I mean, I think most of us will try it, but
yeah,
realistically, I don't think any of us are gonna get super immersed into it because it's the game style is still Diablo, except the mechanic is completely different. So I think a lot of people will have trouble finding it as immersive as the original game, or original games even. Whereas a game like Warcraft Go is not trying to be a game that's immersive. It's more like a collection that you keep building and having fun and meeting people, and it's a completely different kind of goal with that game. And I think that
right.
kind of game could work better.
Right, and WoW's always had that. I mean, not all of WoW, but there has been a component that's very much like, oh, like fluffy and cute and collecting pets, while Diablo's like very much like there's a huge history of playing Diablo with your friends a certain way, and the game being very dark and serious and PC based. While with Warcraft, there's like more casual aspects. It's a bit more lighthearted. There's so many plushies based on the game. Like how many Diablo plushies do you really know of? I think
Hmm.
it lends itself better to a whimsical
And
game
pets don't
and
have
very
to.
cartoony style. Yeah,
Yeah, and pets don't have to just be cute and fluffy either,
yeah,
because you can also
yeah,
have like your Ragnaros pet, and you can have like
yeah,
other kind of like cool pets as well. Similar to how you have pretty cool pets in Pokemon as well. They're not
yeah.
all just cute, so it's
Right.
like it kind of like touches many different aspects.
Yeah, the cartoony style though, like even if it's
Yeah,
serious, lends itself better to I
yeah,
think the phone vibe than something that's like oh like Diablo more
yeah,
like it's more like dark and like super
yeah.
realistic, but
Uh huh.
on a phone.
It's like
So
you're gonna play Dark Souls now, and it's on mobile.
yeah, that
So
would be weird.
your controls are completely different now. It's based on like vibrations on your fingers.
Right? But at least with Warcraft goes like well we already have precedent with battle pets existing in WoW and people love the
Yeah.
flavor text and like the bosses reimagined as pets and I think there could be a lot. It's like oh like Molten Core is coming to the raid system.
Yeah.
Molten Core bosses can spawn all around Los Angeles for the next month and go out there and use your community to go find people to take this down.
Hmm.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think
So
that would be really cool actually. Like I can imagine myself organizing things in Stockholm, and because I feel like the Warcraft community is kind of dead out here in terms of people actually meeting each other.
yeah.
I feel like those kind of things, from what I hear from friends and stuff, it usually happens more in the US actually compared to the EU. I'm not sure why that is. EU just tend, maybe because it's cold here, whereas the US have
Yeah,
some
that's
warmer
something I never
places.
think about. Like, I'm all like, oh yeah, there's Community Day with Pokemon last week, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting all my shinies, and people are like, it's freezing here. I didn't do any Community Day. I'm like,
Yeah, I
oh,
think it might
oh.
be to do with that, but it's like in EU, people don't really go out. I mean, obviously there is Pokemon Go, and people do go out sometimes with their friends. But like in terms of like community gatherings for a game, I haven't seen that much at all. And I, if they would do something like this for World of Warcraft in Stockholm, then I'm probably not going to find any either. But I could start it, and
Yeah,
then
you could do like an IRL team. Like, I'm walking out to the Ragnaros right now, guys.
yeah, like
Like,
come meet me, let's go together.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that can help a lot, and especially getting Blizzard Nordics involved as well to like maybe
yeah.
promote it, bring some more people together, because I know how it is, having living in a cold climate, not wanting to go out. But maybe if it's a whole community thing going on, people will be more likely to do it.
Yeah, turn into a social outing, and there could be so much fun licensing, like more cute plushies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want more Pepe costumes.
Yeah,
Oh,
when is
Pepe
the
is
next
good.
Pepe? I need
I
another
don't
one.
know. Yeah, good Pepe.
Yeah.
But Uh,
Below
yeah,
freezing today. Yeah, I see somebody in the chat saying that. Yeah, it's below freezing here in Stockholm as well.
it's
Or at
really
least it
funny because it's
was.
like the 60s here, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so cold." And now another one of my coworkers just said that it's flooding for me too. Knocked out power a bit ago. So it's like, oh, like I have two coworkers that,
Yeah.
you know, but the weather sounds nice by winter standards, but they're totally miserable without power and flooding.
Yeah. I think we have, because we're so used to having so bad climate or bad weather in Sweden, we're a lot more ready for those kind of things to happen. So,
Yeah, the infrastructure is horrible here. Like there's traffic on a good day, but then when you add water and there's no good drainage system
exactly. We
and
have really good drainage systems.
yeah.
So, like, flooding in Sweden, like, it wouldn't happen unless it's like some kind of like serious rainstorm that's like lasting for days or something. Like, it wouldn't really happen. I mean, we're expected to go to school when there's a snowstorm. And then I hear from my friends, like, yeah, it snowed a bit today, so we're free from school today. And I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
I can't just skip school for half a year.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I don't I have to go to something after this call and I'm just watching the traffic and I'm like is the road going to be shut down
Yep.
because it's like flooded? Like one of the
Yeah.
highways I think right now actually is closed. So it's like, "Oh, well that's
Yeah,
okay."
you can't
Like
drive
the
if it's flooded.
highway is closed and it's like am I going to have some crazy like, Uber or Lyft fee because it's like
Mm-hmm.
dangerous weather?
Yep.
So it's just this like annoyance of stuff. And it's like, I like the rain. It's so fun on the East Coast, but like now it's such a headache today to think of
Yeah.
when I have to travel in LA.
I
So,
just noticed that Gumdrops tuned in and also threw us a host, so thank you for
oh,
that.
thank you.
And welcome.
So, yeah,
Uh,
looking forward to your economy show on Saturday. Yeah, we'll be doing that then.
Saturday. All right. There
Yeah.
you go, boys. That's the date you got to put down. On Saturday, you can check out the news on the economy in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's currently, I just checked, it's apparently 3 degrees,
Oh,
which is 37 Fahrenheit, I
oh, see,
think.
it's not even freezing. It's
So
like
it's actually
blowing
not
by you.
freezing,
Yeah.
but it has been freezing before
Right.
this. I was actually going to compliment how it's in the middle of the night and it's actually not freezing.
Yeah. But I think
Yeah,
that's
I
about
believe that
it.
covers
Yeah.
everything. We
Yeah.
did not have that many things to talk about since there's not been any like kind of PTRs or anything with updates. We just wanted to, get on here and talk to you guys, have a little pre-talk about the new
Yeah.
patch, which will be out next week, 11th of December for NA, and the 12th of December for EU, and 13th for the rest. Questions feels good, man. I've tried to kind of like re-chat as I'm going, but if there's anything you're still
Yeah.
wondering, feel free to post it. But
The
I've
SAS, by
tried
the
to.
way, has no power and also
Yeah.
flooding.
Speaking of
So,
flooding, our friend Sass is not able to make it here because of
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's not like he has to drive to an office. It just literally affected his house. He just has no power. That's
Yeah.
crazy to think.
I'm
I,
really
I
scared
actually
'cause he's
can't
to my
imagine losing
east.
my power.
Yeah, he's to my east, and the other coworker without power and flooding is to my south, and I have to go to the west after this, so I'm very much like,
All directions.
yeah.
Wait,
So
you could have been the one who lost the power today. It could have been no show
I
today.
know. So yeah, it's not as bad as it could have been. I am here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we scrap Mythic Plus items to get the new currency with the 8.1 release, or does that also come with the new season?
Let me
That's a good question.
uh let's see. Pulling this up.
My only two questions. Wait, what was the first question? Do we know how much of the new Mythic Plus currency we will get for completing a dungeon or
It's
scrapping a
been
Mythic Plus
changing
item?
a lot on the PTR.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust the numbers until it
Yeah.
happens, to be
Only
honest.
Azurite that drops after Tides of Vengeance will scrap or disenchant into the new currency. So you can't like scrap like all of your Azurite pieces from Mythic Cache since August. That's not going to work.
No,
But the stuff that drops after the 11th will scrap into the new currency.
they will.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
yes,
then
next
when the
week you
season
can start
starts,
scrapping.
right, but you probably don't want to spend it right away if you care about item level because when the next season starts, then he gets even better loot.
Okay. And yeah, that's a good point, Night Swifty. That's true, right? You can only scrap the Azurite pieces because it's
Yeah.
specifically Azurite vendor. So yeah, only
Yeah.
Azurite pieces.
Yeah. And then the random piece has um the specific piece has the premium amount of currency, and the random piece has the lower amount of currency
Yeah.
because
So if you're feeling lucky, you can go for a cheaper piece of item, which will give you a random Azurite piece. It's random, but you can still choose slots. So it's very similar to like the what are they called? The relinquished items in Legion. It's very
yeah.
similar to that. So if you're feeling lucky, you can go for that. If you're not feeling lucky, you can save up a little bit more and go for the specific piece.
Yep.
I see another resub 11 months in a row. What's up,
Awesome.
Swiggy? Thank you so much. It's crazy to think that I've almost been here for a year.
That's awesome. Yeah, we need to do a fun celebration in
Yeah,
January.
we do. We do.
Yeah.
Is the Mythic Plus vendor coming to 8.1?
Yeah.
I believe it will be there, but like Perk mentioned, the item level will probably be lower than if you save up your scrapping items and wait until the new raid is out.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would wait for that. To spend, that is. Any word
Unless
on...
like unless like your Azurite piece, unless like there's a trait that's amazing and you don't care what the item level is, you need it now. Which
Yeah.
I guess some people could have that, but I mean
Yeah.
generally it seems safer, Check the Azurite guides if you're not sure what's up.
Any word on when we're getting Flying Part 2?
So I believe that is in 8.15 or 8.2. And they say you can fly a Najatar, but it's
Oh,
not something you can work on now. I mean,
okay.
well, you can like work on it, but I don't think you can acquire it now.
Yeah.
So
Okay. No power. What about Wi-Fi? I'm pretty sure Wi-Fi also requires power.
yeah, like I think he messaged on his phone, and it's just like it's just really annoying to work when you don't have power or like heat or like
Yeah. No, you
and
need
it's
power for
flooded.
everything. I mean, even if you
Yeah,
would, technically use your mobile internet, I mean, you can't charge your phone. You
right.
can't
And it's like
charge your
whenever there's
computer.
an emergency, because now stuff is flooded. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. When do you expect Allied Races to be released?
They say that's coming in 8.15. I think it's a little too late, but they say that 8.15 should happen soon after 8.1, which I assume means PTR testing soonish. And
Mm-hmm.
they said that I guess the idea is that the war is meant to sort of solidify the loyalties of both factions. But it's like, come on, like they already like us. Like we helped like Jaina
Yeah.
save Morales. Like, yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
loyal to each other. But the idea is when 8.15 goes live, then you can get these races. But I don't know. I think it
So
should
probably a
be,
month after, maybe 2 months.
yeah, like you have to do the war campaign, but the war campaign, the final step is to do something in the raid.
Yeah.
So you need the raid to be out for that.
So
And
probably
then,
February.
yeah, and like we still haven't, we know what a lot of stuff looks like. We haven't data mined everything yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they're still kind of incomplete in the data. Like, for example, you can't try on all their armor in the dressing room yet, and they don't have achievements or the tabards for them. So there's still some time, some stuff that's coming.
Okay. I also noticed that MD Bert just decided to subscribe with his Twitch Prime. So thank you for that. Thank you for supporting. I just got in giveaway running today. Sass is not here, and he's the one who is taking care of the giveaways. So that unfortunately means there is no giveaway today.
Right. So that's sad.
Yeah.
But he's planning some Christmas giveaways on the site. We were just talking about maybe some giveaway stuff we could do with Annie for her Christmas giveaways. So we'll try to
Oh,
make it up to
yeah.
you guys later on with giveaways.
Yeah, good news for my community. Wowhead is going to, hook us up with some stuff. Some stuff that we
Yep.
can give away.
Yep.
And another Twitch Prime sub, Bobby Digital.
Awesome.
Thank you too.
Awesome. Yeah, we try to thank people like it's tough because if we're talking about like some very intricate PTR thing, we don't want to be like, oh, and Azuri changes are Twitch Prime.
Yeah.
But we try to like chat a little bit at
I
the start
actually
and end of the show.
I actually noticed, like, straight when I said, when we were talking about 8.1 stuff, I was like, yeah, the things we're talking about right now are the things you can expect now. And then we will mention when we start changing it to the things that will happen later. And then at the same
Yeah.
time, I actually saw that question that asked, when will allied races come in? But I was like, I just said. So
Right.
to not confuse people, I just can't read that right now.
Right.
But I'm glad you wrote it again so I could answer at least later on. or we could answer. Let's see. Don't buy the Anzaki until the new raid comes out. I agree. Sure, the items will be normal item level as they will probably take 6 or so weeks to get for targeted, of which by then the raid will launch nicely in time. If anything is purchasable before, I don't think the item levels will be upgraded, or I don't think they will be updated according to the new raid. I think they will be as they are now and then updated later on.
Anything you get on the 22nd moving forward will have changed item levels. So I think even Ibis, the world boss in the Darkshore Warfront, when he'll drop lower item level loot now, and then when the raid comes out, he'll drop the 400 loot. But it's not like, oh, like my 385 Ibis loot like magically became 400 today, that it just, when you kill him at a certain time, that's the item level loot you get.
When will we see an increase in World Quest item level? I guess that would probably be
season 2. Yeah.
Season 2. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. It's season 2. It's not next week, it's season 2.
Stuff is season 2, and all like the lore questy stuff is next week. Well, not even all, because it's all staggered. I feel like this was almost a little too staggered, like between the raid being so late and Azerite not having.
Has this happened before? Like a new patch and then the raid is like a month later?
I mean, they have staggered stuff with, so in 7.2 and 7.2.5, it was more staggered out, but the perceptions was way different. So like in March, you could start working on your class mounts. And then in June, the Tomb of Sargeras opened. But it didn't feel as weird because like your class mounts were a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing here.
And then there was the Mage Tower challenge. So you had several months of banging your head, like anticipating the Mage Tower. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, well, I'll do my like little 30-minute Sourfang quest instead. Also, the timing is a bit different. So in Legion, you had, it launched, it was the end of August. And then by end of October, we had Karazhan patch 7.1 and then Trial of Valor launching days after BlizzCon.
I love how Perk remembers everything. Yeah. It's like, I'm sitting there like I'm playing the game. It's like, I know the date, next month this happens. And everyone's like, oh my God, I'm so thankful that you told me because I had no idea. And then I feel smart. Aww. And then Perk's here like talking about specific dates from last year. And I'm like, wow, okay. No, that's awesome. It shows how much into all the work and everything that you have put in. And it makes sense because of all the news and everything that Wowhead has come out with.
Yeah. But yeah, so for the comparison, so we had November, we already had Karazhan and Trial of Valor. And then in January, early January, we had Brawlers Guild and then Nighthold. So at the same point, we didn't have that October-November patch in BFA. And the second raid, like we sort of skipped the Trial of Valor raid. We sort of just went from, it wasn't like Emerald Nightmare TOV Nighthold in January. We just went like Uldir to Dazar'alor in January. We skipped the in-between raid. And then we also, the Mega Dungeon, Karazhan, we didn't have the equivalent of that Mega Dungeon. We'll have this other Warfront. So it just feels like a little less or a little more spaced out. And then again, the Azerite system, we didn't have stuff like, oh, balance of power or, do your Mythic 10 for an appearance. We don't have all that little fluffy stuff. We don't have things like the Falcosaur quest line to give you stuff or, Good Samaritan or like Insurrection was a new quest we had. And that was a bit more detailed, I think, than the war campaign. So it's like we have the spacing, but I feel that there was a lot of just extra world building content stuff in between. There was more stuff to do each week, and then there was interesting filler content on the side that you don't necessarily have in BFA. Like remember with the artifact, it was like, oh, like artifact knowledge unlocked. Like, will we get something new to do this week? Like, can I, unlock my new hidden appearance? Do I need artifact level like 5 or 6 or 7? And even like there's like the Illidan things that unlock. So I feel like we don't really have that. We don't have that
like a progression in the same way.
Yeah, like interesting solo lore progression isn't a thing we super have in early BFA. So it feels a little more like I wish there was stuff to do. Yeah.
I just saw a message from Knight Swifty, or a question rather. He says, will the Mythic Plus 15 feat of strength achievements be available starting next week?
Do you know? No, I don't know about that specifically. I mean, like, will they be available or will they reset? I just so you mean like you can't get the feat of strength right now in game? I feel like that seems like a bug.
Uh, I don't know. Wait, aren't these Mythic Plus 15s season divided?
Yeah, if it's season divided, then it won't
So I guess it
go in.
wouldn't be season two.
Right, which is also weird because it's like there were class changes coming on the 11th, but the season isn't ending, so that's a little strange.
I'm actually not sure what the achievements are currently for the Mythic Plus. Because I remember doing the plus 15 in Legion. I haven't thought about it for this season or
Yeah,
this
and like,
expansion.
we just got a plus 22 last week, so people are definitely, in that range.
Oh, apparently there just isn't an achievement for it.
Oh,
That's
well,
strange, isn't it?
yeah, that's sad. Like,
Because
oh no.
there should be a plus
That,
15 for season one.
yeah, that's sad. Uh, yeah, I'm looking at this and I don't see anything in the PTR database.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah,
there's a the link that Night Swifty just put in the chat. Says
yeah,
Battle for Azeroth Keystone Master season one. But we never actually got it. Like we never saw
yeah.
this in game.
Maybe Blizzard just forgot about it, which would be sad, but also not like there's some weird visual glitches with stuff that took a really long time to fix. So yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know. That seems like a good Warcraft dev question because
Yeah, I agree.
the only thing
Because
I
it
can
says
think of is
season
that
one, like they can't introduce it
because
after 5 months because then it's
I
over.
mean, if it's a feat of strength, maybe if you log on at the start of season two, it's like, oh, we'll just give everyone their season
Oh
one achievements.
yes,
That could be something.
that's true. It might be one of those, like the PvP achievements.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I think you might be right, especially because it's a feat of strength and not a regular achievement.
yeah. Um,
I
but
guess we'll see. We don't know yet, but maybe we can get an answer soon.
yeah. I think we should sadly wrap things up because I
Yeah,
need to see about traveling in the rain
yeah, it's
to a
okay.
meeting, and
I
it's going to
think
take me like 3 times as long to get
I think
out.
we also managed to answer everybody's questions.
Yeah.
So before we
Okay.
end up babbling for too long, let's indeed wrap up the show. I see Luna. Yeah, she has been walking around a little bit. I don't see her right now, but yeah,
You don't see her on the screen. Bright
she
Paw's
was
not
here a
here.
little bit before.
Bright Paw, come back, Bright Paw.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out, for asking questions, for engaging in chat, for watching, for following, subscribing, resubscribing, all those thingies. And also a shout out to you guys who are on the Wowhead front page watching us from over there. We are on Twitch. If you're unfamiliar with Twitch, it's a streaming site, and there's a chat here, so you can talk to us directly live, unless you're one of those people who are watching this on YouTube right now. If you're not on YouTube right now, that means you're watching it
Yeah.
live, and that means that you could potentially have your questions answered. We always try our best to do so. We had a short break of shows because of November traveling, but we are in December now, which should be less traveling and hopefully a show every week so that we can live up to our name of Wowhead Weekly.
Yeah. I might be traveling actually, but I mean, it might be fun to just do it in front of like my parents' Christmas tree or just like, kind
That
of have
would
a
be
different
so cute.
background.
We can
Yeah.
have like a super short stream to not like disturb your family too much.
Oh no, I mean they watch the show. Like my
Oh,
mom
they
knows
do?
all the people on Twitter. It's really weird. Like
That's so
she
cute.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
she's
that's
like, "Oh, she's
awesome.
like, "Oh, you're highlighting like Annie today. Like I missed the show. Like
Oh,
Luna's so calm next to Bright Paw." And
oh, that's
so she
so
knows.
cute. That's
Yeah.
adorable. Aw,
Yeah.
yeah, in that case, like, yeah, if your family would be up for it, we could do like a super quick, like, just a catch up show or something. Hopefully, there's not too much PTR stuff to cover. And if
Yeah.
there is, we can, just extend that to the week after or something. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, that's so cute. Hi, Perks mom. Yeah, yeah, we have to say that when she's around.
Yeah. Chat has to be nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard her, but I can't see her. I think she's nearby.
I think I see her. I
You
think I
do?
see her. I think she's under a box or a table. Like you were leaning towards where I think I saw her.
Okay. Yeah.
That's like a beige blob. I think that's
I
it.
have a lot of boxes here right now
Oh,
because I'm still
maybe it's a
dealing with
box.
things. Yeah, after
Yeah.
traveling, I'm just like going through one box at a time, but it's yeah,
Yeah.
it takes time. I've been sent a lot of goodies, and a lot of them have to be sent out to people. Some of them are to me. And, it's a Christmas, so a lot of presents going around. But yeah, let's recap the show, or wrap up the show rather.
Yeah.
Not recap. That would take another 10 minutes. We will see you guys again hopefully next week, same time, Thursday, 10 p.m. I actually forgot the show times.
1 Pacific.
1 Pacific, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
CST, European time, Stockholm time, Italian time,
Yeah.
Central time, something like that. You guys are probably better than me. You know what? To make things even easier, follow us on Twitter. That way you will know exactly when we go live, because we always make sure that we tweet and keep you guys posted so that you will never miss it, especially if you keep your notifications on for the Twitter channel or Twitter account. We will see you guys next week. Take care until then. Thank you guys so much again for hanging out with us. We love doing this, and it's cool seeing you guys be a part of it as well.
Yep. See you next week. Have fun with 8.1.
See you next week. All right, high five? Yeah, I just remembered. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
You count.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
You did the sound effect. Awesome.
Yeah. The cat wasn't around, so I could do the sound effect this time.
I don't dare do it because Luna gets so scared.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. But yeah, take care, guys. Bye-bye.